never cheat yourself. If you value what you create, you need to get paid accordingly. Entrepreneurship is freedom. Definitely challenges you because you have to have ownership of everything. So like you just have to be a strong person to be an entrepreneur. It's just a different type of lifestyle. My money is making money. Everything I do is making money, right? I'm not doing a 9 to 5 thing, waiting for a paycheck. Everything that I do is in the ecosystem is making money for me and building my brand and my company. That's how you get wealthy. When you really challenge yourself, you should be uncomfortable, right?
Mhm.
Because if you're comfortable, you're not really doing much. You just in your regular old daily, and that's easy to do. But when you're pushing the envelope, you're always gonna be uncomfortable.
This is the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast, where we are here to educate, equip, and inspire people to build extraordinary companies. We're so glad you're here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so that you can get updates every time we drop a new episode. Now, let's get it started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. My name is Rick Meekins. I am your host today. And in the studio today, we are greeted by Marcel Clarke. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well, Rick. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So glad that you are here. So glad you're here. How's the weather up there?
The weather is a little crazy right now. It's trying to, it's fall season. So up here in the DMV, we go with it. So now the leaves and all the foliage is out. So it's beautiful, but yeah, it's starting to get nippy.
Next, we have the cold, right?
Yeah, wintertime, which is not my favorite part of the year.
I feel you. I feel you. I've been up there in the wintertime too many times. So I feel you. Well, folks, if you haven't done it already, I would be honored if you would like, subscribe, and hit the bell so that you get updates every time we drop a new episode. And with that out of the way, let's get it started. Marcel, do us a favor. Tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
Hey, I'm Marcel Clarke, generational entrepreneur, real estate developer, cryptocurrency investor, stock market architect. Entrepreneurship is in my DNA. So I have actually a few companies at this point, and I just love what I do.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. You know what? I love that you said entrepreneurship is in your blood. I have that conversation periodically. What does entrepreneurship mean to you?
Entrepreneurship is freedom. It's being an effective leader, decision maker, taking responsibility for any mistakes that you make. It definitely challenges you because you have to have ownership of everything. And at the end of the day, no matter if it's on me or not, the boss always gets, the blame and he barely gets, the credit, right? So like you just have to be a strong person to be an entrepreneur. But yeah, it's just a different type of lifestyle. It's a different life. It's just a beautiful thing if you can accomplish it and you can become successful in the fields.
Cool, man. Cool. So let's walk back and talk about like how you got started with your first company. How old were you, and what was the company, and kind of what was that journey like?
Yeah, so, post grad school, I tried to do the 9 to 5 thing. I really didn't fit in that world. So when the opportunity presented itself, I wanted to purchase my first franchise instead of trying to build something from scratch because I knew, I understood business theoretically, but since I didn't own a business, I was kind of, a little nervous about that. So I bought a franchise called the Maids Home Services. It's a high end residential cleaning service. And that was one of my first really, really good decisions because it put everything together for me. Actually watching how a company is supposed to look behind the scenes, meaning their systems, human relations, employee relations, client relations, marketing, accounting, understanding how that actually looks and how it should be organized. It actually gave me a blueprint for everything I did. Plus, they were a really, really high-end brand
Uh-huh.
and it just taught me the importance of excellence. So yeah, once I purchased that first franchise, I was off to the race. I probably made 6 figures when I sold it, and then it was time for me to kind of do my own thing. I like franchises, and I'm always going to love them because again, it's more like the word turnkey is kind of misleading because you definitely again they give you the resources, they give you the systems, but that doesn't mean that you're going to win. It just
Yeah.
means that you have this system, and they're going to show you how to exercise it. But if you don't execute, then it doesn't, you can still fail. But for a person like me to give me, that clarity and give me an understanding of what I need to do when I want to start my own company from scratch, I mean, it was ideal.
Nice, nice, nice. What was the biggest surprise you bumped into with franchise ownership?
Even in that environment, I still didn't like to be told what to do, right? So here I am up on this system, but like they're kind of still telling you, listen, this is what you need to do. They want to make sure that their brand is represented, which I get. But I still didn't. They had a business coach that would fly in every quarter to check my books, and I just didn't
Right.
like being like managed still, right? So
Right.
it's interesting because I was doing dinner with a friend, and she asked me that. She was like, Marcel, I mean, do you really feel like you own your own business? Because I mean, you kind of bought a franchise. And for a second, I was offended, but then I was like, she's actually right. Like this is a brand. This isn't mine. So yeah, again, if we reverse a little bit, again, all the way through college, again, in the 9 to 5 world, all of those jobs, I just didn't really like to be managed. I didn't like to be told what to do. It was really cool. I had a lot of really good supervisors, a lot of good directors. So, we never really bumped heads, but I
Yeah.
just would be sitting in meetings like, why am I up in here? Like, why am I listening to you? Like, it was just kind of like, it felt like a waste of my time because I felt like I should be doing something else, and that continued. So that's why I decided. I was like, at some point, the franchise that I own, we did kind of bump heads because I wanted to expand and they wanted to
Yeah.
keep me in these zip codes, and it just wasn't scalable. So I was
Uh-huh.
kind of like getting upset with that. And I was like, plus with franchises, I owned it for like 6 or 7 years. At that point, I mastered the system. And then again, my brain goes, why am I paying you guys so much money?
Right.
Like again, I'm just a little different in that category. So at some point I was kind of like, yeah, this isn't, I've learned. It was like my grad school. I wrote that in my book. Like when I graduated from grad school, I'm sitting here with my buddy Brian Bowles. We're in the seats, and he goes, man, I can't wait to get my PhD. And I was like, nah, I'm done. I was like, nah, I'm finished with school. So that franchise was like my PhD though, right?
Yeah.
Being able to purchase that and actually learning real business was like my PhD. So I'm so glad I made that decision.
Yeah, that sounds like a winner. Outside of what you shared, you talked about like systems and processes and, the franchise culture, so to speak. What was the biggest lesson you learned?
Excellence is important. Like when you create brands, you need to hold that brand accountable. Like the thing about my one of my companies, Colonial Commercial Cleaning, again, so that's an extension of residential cleaning, except it's commercial cleaning. So we focus on offices, religious institutions, schools. With that company, when I built it, it was all about excellence, right? So like in that business, you can lowball contracts and just go for gutter ball numbers, and you can get the contract, but what's the problem there is now your number's so low, you can't really pay your employees well, and you can't provide a great service, right?
Mm.
My business was totally opposite. Like I didn't have a problem with running in like first of all, I created a really good system, everything. So down to not only great customer service, great equipment, great branding, great management, a lot built into the system. And I knew I was going to have to charge for it, right? So if you create a really good system, you have to get your money out of it by delivering excellence and holding everybody accountable and never deviating from that excellence. So it's just like a Mercedes Benz. You buy a Mercedes Benz because you already expect quality and excellence. When you get to the dealership, they treat you a certain way because you're driving their vehicle. They want you to have a great experience across the board. That's how I build my companies. Like it's a great experience across the board. That way, you're not worried about pricing. Right. So I
Mm.
started with that gutter bar contracts. We don't even go after those because we're
Yeah.
just not going to get in that situation. Everything I do, we charge, yeah, we're going to charge a premium price. But again, we're delivering on excellence, right? All my people are 24/7. A client calls us, we get it resolved within 24 hours. Sometimes I'll go out there and talk to some of my clients. It just depends, but they get the red carpet service. And to me, that's the best way to go because again, when you get involved with like just trying just to get a contract and a bid and just bidding dollar amounts that make no sense and you're not making any money, it's a lose-lose situation. So we stay away from that. So that's the lesson I learned. Like if you're gonna do anything, do it well and make sure that you present a service or a product that's like above par and then price it accordingly.
I love that. I love that. A lot of folks that I talk to, and, I would say even myself, earlier in my career, you know, we're afraid to push that out there, say, oh, it's, that's too much. Nobody's going to pay me for this, et cetera, et cetera. Did you ever have that as a concern of yours? And if you did, how did you resolve it? And what would you say to people that are in that position? Are just afraid to charge, probably what they should charge or charge that premium rate for what they do?
Well, I mean, if I look at that from first, from a personal perspective, you should always get paid what you're worth, right? Like, period. You should never cheat yourself. If there's value in what you create in your service, you need to get paid accordingly. You cannot cheat yourself by just dumbing down your numbers or dumbing down your brand so you can kind of be in whatever space that is. You have to create your own space. No, again, we've had contracts that we just didn't win, and they said because you were higher than the rest, and I was like, yeah, but I know what was built into those numbers. So
Mhm.
if it's not profitable, I'm not doing it. So I prefer have 40 profitable accounts versus 80 accounts where they're barely making any money. It's not impressive, right? It's about the profit margins, and you make profit margins by pricing yourself appropriately. If you're not pricing yourself appropriately, what are you doing? Again, I mean, we're all in this to make money. That's why I love business. There's no doubt about that. It's not a secret. Like, we're here to profit off a service or a product. If you want to profit correctly, you have to price your service or your goods correctly. That's the
Yeah.
only thing around it. You can't dumb it down if you do. I mean, of course, once in a while, if it's a situation, we'll give a discount. But
Mhm.
for the most part, the price is the price. My systems say this is what you should charge. You have to charge it, and you just have to let it fall where it may. That's it. You have to believe
Yeah.
in yourself.
Yeah. 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 So how did you know you could charge what you're charging and people would actually buy it? How did versus feeling like you're priced out of the market?
Well, I mean, I'm always paying attention to the competition. We already know what the wages are. I mean, especially like in commercial cleaning, it's all about wages. I mean, that's going to be wages and your equipment. Those types of things are going to basically be your cost barriers.
Mhm.
I mean, just understanding exactly what my competition looks like, how I'm sizing them up,
Yeah.
understand the price structure. But again, when you understand what those expenses are, and they're built into your numbers correctly. Again, so you have to make sure you have the right system to, calculate exactly what you should be charging. Whatever system you're using, if you trust it, the number is the number, right? Again, I just let it fall where it may. I'm not going to really sit there and try to find a perfect number. No, I mean, if my system tells me, given, 4 employees in this building, 4 hours a week, I mean, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, it totals that up and it tells me with their wages, this is what we should be charging to get to 25% margin. That's the number. That's it. It might be a little bit of wiggle room if I feel like the client really wants to go with us because they did their research and they really want our system. I'm like, I'll see what I can do. But at the end of the day, I mean, the number is the number.
The number's a number. The number's a number. That's good. That's good. That's gold. That's bold. So you transitioned directly from residential cleaning into commercial cleaning. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So when I was closing out the deal to sell my franchise, I had a lot of clients they were asking me all the time. They're like, Marcel, you guys don't do businesses, schools. Again, these franchises are really strict. So the only thing they did were, single family homes,
Yeah.
condominiums, blah, blah, blah. So when the opportunity presented itself, I was keeping track of the clients that were talking to me about it. And so
Yeah.
when I launched Colonial, I probably had about 500,000 in revenue waiting for me.
Yeah.
And then it was yeah, so and then they're kinda like cousins. They have similar equipment. There are several marketing is a little bit different and, contrast calculations is a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, they were kinda like close enough that I was like comfortable transitioning to that being my first business. And the funniest part about it is it's interesting because again, that's why it's important like to create your own brand and create your own way. Because one of the things that one of my most proudest days was when the guy that I was working with sent me the logo for my company. That's it, man. I just saw the logo. I was like, yeah, we in building. It wasn't even about the systems and all the employees. It was the logo that pumped me up like, yeah, like that's my
Yeah.
very first company. I created that. This is my thought. This is my vision. And to see it is starting to come into fruition from just that standpoint, I was like, yeah, it's on.
Nice, nice, nice. Imagine with the franchise. I mean, the franchise had the brand name behind it, and perhaps they were feeding you leads and that sort of thing. How did you transition to finding your own leads and finding your own business? What was that process like for you?
Yeah, so I paid attention to the system that when it came to marketing, what they showed me back then. A lot of pay per click was just brand new, so I just found my own people to do my own pay per click services. We did our own email email lead generation services, found my own people to do to send out postcards directly to clients, then did a big referral program. So when we with the client base that I had, I told them, listen, it's basically 20% off 3 months if you refer us. So all of that started snow. But a lot of times in business, it's really about word of mouth and people that know
Hmm.
you. Because again, that's the thing about when you provide really good, excellent service, right? Word of mouth works, right? I,
Yeah.
I would say about 20% of our clients are word of mouth. We obtained a big contract last year. She just called me. She was like, so and so says you guys do a great job, and like at that moment, I'm pretty much know that I'm gonna get the deal, right? Because I know, it was referred. She's calling me because somebody else told her we're excellent. So now it's not even a numbers game. It's really about me just talking to her. And then like one of my favorite questions is, so what's your budget? Like let me know so I can customize a clean for you. So how
Yeah.
much can you guys afford, every month to pay your cleaning service? And technically, if she gives me a right number and I'm like, you don't have to give me a perfect number, but just give me a range, if she puts me in that range, most of the time, it's about a 99% chance I'm gonna close the deal at that point. Because I
Nice.
can't create a system around exactly what she needs and get the right manpower in there to make it do it at her price point. Yeah, it was again, that's usually how it snowballs, man. It's about not only keeping yourself out there public wise, but also networking, meeting the right people, making sure that your brand is executing on everything that you say you're doing in public, and the rest kind of, does what it's supposed to do.
Nice. How do you keep track of your customer success or um your customer feedback and perhaps even your team feedback?
Yeah, that's built into our system now. Our CRM pretty much, quarterly throws out an email to our current clients asking them about how they feel about their service. A lot of times with our management, with our software, if the employee isn't happy or has a problem, he can actually, it's in his phone now. That's why I love cell phones and the technology now. He can literally like go, directly to me. This is my issue right now. I can't get Monday off, and my supervisor, like, he like, but yeah, those little small things now. The communication is more streamlined. So
Yeah.
with the direct line employees, we can definitely like make sure that they're good. And then I always try to throw a annual. Usually it's a Christmas party where everybody can just kind of get together and see how the company is growing. Everybody could talk about it. So there's always open communication, and I think that's incredibly easy to achieve these days with with all the tech. You there, like I said, our CRM is built in there for client interaction and direct line employee interaction.
What do you do? What kinds of things do you put in place to minimize your client turnover?
I mean, the thing about specifically that business, client turnover, I think you're gonna have like 5 to 10% churn per year. That's just unavoidable. It's just something about, people just want to change. It might be a new director that comes into the organization and they're like, hey, I want to show that I'm changing. So let's
Yeah.
change this and change that. And some of
Oh,
that's
excellent.
inevitable. Otherwise, you should always just be proactive. And just like you just suggested, you always reach out to your customers, make sure they're happy. Our largest accounts, I brought them on myself, right? So if it's a certain level of account, I let my managers handle it. But if it's a larger account, I still will step in, throw on the uniform, go out to the location, walk it with them, talk to them about the company. They love the fact that the owner's in the building, right? So like that, I still do because
Mhm.
I know how important it is to build that relationship from scratch because this industry is very competitive. So I know they're getting calls and emails every day. Do you like your cleaning company? Do you like your cleaning company? Right. So
Mhm.
if they like you, then they ignore those sales calls and everything. But if they don't like you, that mean they're open, right? So you want to make sure that that relationship is there regardless with the decision maker to make sure that that they're good under all circumstances. And like I said, when you make a mistake in this environment, you got to own it.
Yeah.
Don't talk to people and be like, "Oh, it's not on me. Sorry, let me look what happened." Look, I'm sorry that transpired. It should not have. I will get this resolved within 24 hours. And I promise you, if I don't, or if I can't find a resolution to it, then I'll figure it out. But I'm gonna try my best to make sure that this doesn't happen ever again. But like just taking ownership for it goes a long way versus kind of like giving excuses. People don't really want to hear excuses these days.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. What was a difficult situation that you had to work through, and how did you resolve it?
I think in business, one of my favorite businesses that I own right now is Vanna Black. It's in a real estate development company based in Washington, DC. And that was probably my biggest challenge because I had a company, Strategic Investments, and we used to do a lot of rehabs and flips.
Mhm.
And that was cool, but real estate development is a little different, it's a bigger monster, and I think my biggest challenge there was not only lining up financing to prove that we can get it done, but also understanding, like, the execution of building these buildings is really, really, meticulous, and you have to be really focused, and you have to have not only really good general contractor, but you had to really be focused on the timeline because, I mean, it's easy to breach it, and that could be incredibly financially, destructive. So, yeah, understanding like how to actually transition from rehabbing to real estate development was probably my biggest challenge because again, there was so much more at stake. But I'm one of those kind of people that believe that like when you really challenge yourself, you should be uncomfortable,
Mm,
right?
mm.
You should
Yes,
be
absolutely.
uncomfortable because if you're comfortable, you're not really doing much. You just in your regular old daily, and that's easy to do. But when you're pushing the envelope, you're always gonna be uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So what made you so you have multiple companies right now. At what point did you feel like you could say, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna step out. I'm gonna start doing rehabs, or I'm gonna step out and I'm gonna start doing, real estate development." What was that thought process for you, and what did you need to do in order to get these things rolling?
Well, I mean, when we were doing rehabbing, I really just felt like it was just way too much work, not enough margins, right? I was like, "Man, come on, man. We rehabbed this house and I mean, you're just at the end of the line getting paid. You had to pay the contractors, you had to pay the realtor, you have to pay everybody, right?
Yep.
And you're hoping that you pull out a margin. I just was like, yeah, this isn't after like 20 flips, I was like, yeah, it's not what you see on TV. So that's you yeah, so that's what usually starts to push me. I'm like, all right, I still do like it, but
Yeah,
what's better than this? Like what's another level up that could be profitable and could actually, make more sense. And I definitely feel like, when you're an entrepreneur, you are responsible for not only building your legacy, but you have to figure out what are you gonna leave behind for your kids and like what's that gonna
yeah,
look like? So are you creating a company that they can manage and take over? So I felt like real estate development was more in my lane because I mean I'm building buildings, that are going to stand the test of time. And what I learned from rehabbing is the problem there was we were flipping and then we were selling those locations, right? And when we
yeah,
sold those houses again, we might make, 10, $15,000.
yeah,
But the problem there was the asset depreciates more than what, your little rehab money can do, right? So we're flipping a house, let's say it's $100,000, and then we put 40,000 in it. We sell it for 80,000 or 200 because everybody getting their money out of that. So we walk away with a little bit of money. All right. But that house, 4 or 5 years from there is worth 300,000, could
yeah,
be 350, right?
yeah.
So the problem there is, you're making temporary money where now with real estate development, we put up a building. I don't sell it. I'll lease it. I'll lease
Okay.
out condominiums, but I
Yeah.
won't sell it. I refuse to now, right? Because I know down the road, this building that we built for 3 million is going to be worth 5 million, and I know that the people in it are going to basically pay down that mortgage, and I know that's going to be a huge amount of equity, and I know that that's the scenario because again, we sold 20 houses, and I still see those houses pop up in my Zillow, right? Because Zillow, if you own a house, Zillow will give you, oh, you own so and so so so. Guess what it's worth now? And I'm looking at it like I know what we bought it for, and then I'm looking at it 3 or 4 years from now, and it's like worth way more. And I'm like, yeah, I learned my lesson from that. So yeah, for me, I was like, okay, when I go into real estate development, I was like, yeah, everything is gonna be a buy and hold. And trust me, a lot of people try to pull on me. You sure you don't want to sell it? You sure you don't want to sell them in the condos? I'm like, no. We're gonna hold it and we're gonna build. And that's my point about legacy, right? Like those are assets that my kids will own and it's cash flowing and they'll have that money, right? So that's always my objective. Like, what can I build that's gonna be long term and it's gonna be a long-term winner? So that's always gonna be my thought process. I think it's very important because again, entrepreneurship takes a lot out of you and it's very challenging. So you definitely have to be reaping the rewards.
Right, right. So from a, I guess from a time perspective, I want to go back to the rehab. So you've got the commercial cleaning business, and then how did you end up getting into the rehab business?
So back in college, I used to my mom helped me buy my first townhouse, and then I was renting out rooms in the townhouse, and it was paying the mortgage. And I was like, "Yeah,
Nice.
this is simple, right? It's not really.
Is that what
It's
your mom
not,
told you to do?
I'm like it's not rocket science, you know." So, as the years progressed, I purchased a property here, property there, probably had 3 or 4, and then, the neighborhood I lived in, my neighbor was a general contractor, right? Gary
Hmm.
Nelson. And, we just started talking. I was like, "Gary, I'm thinking about getting into rehabbing," and I mean, buy a house and it needs work, you work on it, we split the profits. And that's what we did. He started, I would find the locations. I knew a couple of realtors, find locations. He'll go in there, fix them up. He was really good, at what he did, put it back to market, and then we would basically split the profits. So again, I started figuring it out early. And again, I think that's another way you definitely could get ongoing cash flow. I learned that from my accountant. My accountant was like, "Look, man, if you can get 10 houses and each of them cash flows for $1,000." He's like, "That's 10,000 a month." He's like, "Come on." Like, I mean, he's
Yeah.
like, that's you can retire off of that. Anybody really can, right? And I thought
Right.
about that and I was like, "Yeah, that's easy." I mean, like, that's not really hard to do if you take your time and you have to have patience, right? I think everybody wants this fast money now. We in that
That's right.
environment. Everybody thinks it's just going to happen. No, I mean, you buy one house every 2 or 3 years, people. Next thing you know, you'll have a portfolio of 10. It's not hard. You just have to have, again, here we go in our community, you have to have good credit, right? You got to take care of yourself. I mean, credit is more valuable in my world than cash all day.
Hmm.
That's what I was saying about when I launched my real estate development company. They didn't even care about how much cash I had in the bank, and I was really, really liquid. It was just my credit history. Can I pay him back? That's what
Yeah.
everybody wants to know. Are you reliable?
Yeah.
Is this a person that's investable? And the only way that's the number one way any financial institution is going to look at you is going to be about your credit worthiness. Once you have that, I mean, again, if you buy a house and it's cash flowing, that actually becomes income, right? So it helps you in the bottom line, right? Because you now say, I have this house at so and so, and I make an extra $1,000 a month. They look at that and they're like, okay, he has an asset and it's cash flowing. All right, I don't mind loaning him $150,000. That house that he owns that's cash flowing is worth 300,000. All right, let's make it happen. There you go. Next thing you on to house number two. Same thing. Now you got two. Both of those are cash flowing. And then the combination of them probably worth 700,000. Oh yeah, all right, we'll make him a loan. No problem, because he has two. Then you got three. See,
Mhm.
but this is not gonna happen in a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
happens over time, people. But the point there is you have to get started. Just get started, right? Like everybody just thinks too much. I mean, like, I always say that, man, procrastination is the enemy of success.
Definitely.
You can't keep thinking, right? That's just fear holding you back. You have to do it. You just have to do it.
That's quotable right there. You're an entrepreneur legacy. You come from a family of entrepreneurs. What are some of the lessons you learned just watching, as you grew up?
Failure is real. My dad owned 6 corner stores in Philadelphia, and I watched them get wiped out. And we had a great life up there too. Brownstone, chefs, cleaning people. I could walk in any of those stores, get cheesesteaks. Shout out to Philly, great best cheesesteaks in the world.
Yes, sir.
Play arcade games all day for free. Man, it was the best life I ever had. So that's what I learned, right? Entrepreneurship. I opened with it, freedom. I experienced that freedom at a young age watching my dad handle his business. But at the same time, my dad wasn't really educated. He had like a sixth grade education. So everything he was doing was from the hustle, right?
Yeah.
That's from through instinct. So he didn't know about systems and dealing with people and accounting and all of that. Everything he built from this basically know-how and networking, right? Built everybody liked him, Hank. Everywhere we went, Hank, Hank, Hank. So that neighborhood love for him transition to people going to his businesses and going to his stores. But what happened was when the heroin and the crack epidemic started hitting and everybody was robbing stores and all mayhem happened, he couldn't adjust. He didn't adjust well, and the next thing you know, it was all gone. And yeah, that was a eye opening situation because it placed us in a really bad situation, and nobody saw it coming.
Yeah.
So I learned that, financial discipline is incredibly important, right? In business, we're always squirreling money away, right? For a rainy day, because we
Yeah.
always know it's not every day is not going to be great. It's going to come. The storm's going to come. It's going down. You got to be ready. Enjoy the good days. Absolutely, is a lot of good days. So enjoy them, but don't sit there and think that that the cash flow is always going to be the same, because it's not. It's going to adjust. And if you're not ready for it, you're going to be in trouble.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's great. That's great. Did that situation ever make you hesitate from something you were thinking about investing in?
No, it just makes you cautious. You have to be responsible. You have to do your due diligence, right? We've all lost money. Don't
Mhm.
get me wrong. So again,
Mhm.
that's another part of entrepreneurship. You're just gonna make some bad investments, make some bad decisions. You're going to lose money. That's inevitable. However, specifically if you're investing money, you definitely need to do your due diligence. And again, with all of the information that's now at our fingertips, and it's not hard to drill down on certain people, certain companies, or anything that you want to do, you need to drill down on it, right? So I launched a three location deal with Marco's Pizza. They're new to the Virginia area. They called me. They were like, because I own those franchises in the past. So
Mhm.
they called me up and like, hey, Marcel, we need some experienced owners. Well, I mean, I'm food services really is not my thing, but I think I first of all, we're on due diligence. I did some due diligence on them. So my kids and I would go to their pizza spots. We would go to their location. We would have their food. It was great. We looked into talk. I talked to other owners. Like I was in Ashburn. I talked to the ownership, asked them about the franchise. How do they get treated? Like, are the profit margins there? Is it profitable? Right? Like you can do this now. So I drilled down on that before I signed a three location deal. And I signed that three location deal because, again, remember I told you with that old franchise, they tried to pigeonhole me and they made me feel like I couldn't scale a business. And the moment Marco said, yeah, we can do three, but we want you to get up to 10, I was like, yeah, all right. I was like, I was like, all right, you got my attention. I was like, all
Right?
right, we gonna get back into this because I know systems, right? I know
Mhm.
systems like the back of my hand. So I'm like, okay, let's go. But my point is, just to answer your question, yeah, you have to just do your homework, y'all. You can't don't just believe what people say anymore, right? Talk to
Yeah.
two or three references, right? Figure out if it's profitable, drill down on it, figure out if it's what you want to do, but do your homework. Don't just invest because a lot of people are really good salesmen.
100%. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Tell me about, you said that you got into stock market and crypto trading as well. Tell me about those organizations. What made you jump into that, and are they performing the way that you want them to?
But today I'm not happy because I had some money in Meta and I'm down about $100,000, man. But don't
That
worry about it. I'll get it back.
happens.
That's what they hold. Do not sell when it's red and there's blood in the water. Do not sell. I actually added to that position, so I will recover that. Okay, but
Mhm.
no. If I go back when I was younger and I post college, I wanted back then. I thought I was going to be a music mogul. So I moved to New York, lived with my aunt, and I didn't really have a job. I was kind of just like doing internships and I decided that I wanted to understand more about the stock market. And then I used to just watch this show on CNBC called Squawk Box. And it just came again, it's business, it's all business. And all they talked about was different companies, Apple, Microsoft. And I was like, all right. And I really started just kind of like, again, doing my homework. And I found out that because I always thought that you had to have a broker, and I was fortunate because at that moment, this company called Fidelity Investments, they were like, "Look, all you had to have is like $2,500 to open up your account, and you can trade with us." So once after about 2 or 3 months after watching CNBC and watching all the experts come on, I said, "I think I could do this, right?" So I don't think I
Mhm.
need a broker because a broker is gonna get 15, 20% of your winnings or
Mhm.
your profits. And I was like, but no, it is kind of like gambling the stock market. That's why I said winnings. But like you don't want to have a broker unless you really feel like you don't know what you're doing. If you can invest on your own, which you can these days with so many other platforms out there, you should do it yourself. So I decided that I was going to just start making, incremental investments. Bought a couple of companies. Again, took a lot of losses, just learning because I used to try to time the market. That's
Mhm.
impossible. But over time, I just decided that I started understanding it. And yeah, I got into a lot of different positions. I'm really heavy on tech now anyway. So
Mhm.
Nvidia, I've been in Nvidia for a long time before everybody
Wow.
even knew about Nvidia. Alibaba, which is a Chinese company, I'm in them. like I said, I'm meta is kind of like a trade. But yeah, I just started figuring out what I like. Rivian. All right, y'all. If y'all trying to get into the stock market, I own a Rivian, right? I'm telling y'all right now, y'all gonna watch this video 10 years from now, and y'all gonna be mad at yourselves if y'all don't buy Rivian. All right, it's the best electric, it's the best EV company on the planet. No Tesla, Rivian. But like that, I just started figuring out when it comes to the market, what I could tell you guys is invest in what you know.
Hmm.
See that? Like I said, Rivian, right? So when I started liking Rivian, first thing I did was I went and bought their vehicle. I said, let me see about this company. Went out
Yeah.
there, test drove the vehicle. I'm like, dude, this truck is nice, right? It's laid out, leather everywhere, beautiful dashboard. It's a beautiful vehicle. So that's the first thing I did. Drove for a couple of months. I was like, yeah, I'm putting money in this company. So again, if you're going to like again, everybody knows Apple, everybody knows Microsoft. Invest in companies that you know
Hmm.
initially. And then if you want to take more risks, start looking at, those new young companies. They're just startups in the market. Those companies appreciate really fast because, they're new. They're the new kids on the block. And if they
Yeah.
really are bringing it like they should in whatever industry, they're going to appreciate. But yeah, your starting point should always be, what you know. Start with companies you know. So yeah, that's what happened. I've been investing since what that was like 2015. Just doing my own thing, handling my own business. No, about 2005. What am I talking about? Yeah, '05. So since '05, I've been doing this. And yeah, it's again, the stock market is the greatest wealth builder in the history of the world. If you're really trying to become wealthy, you have to be in the market. You just have to. And again, you have Robinhood now. They let you buy small increments of these companies. You don't even have to. When I was there, you had to buy whole shares. Now they sell you a quarter share. Don't even know how they do that. But yeah, you can get involved with these companies at an early age. I'm actually mentoring my son now. Took his money out of the bank, put it in the Fidelity. I'm mentor
Nice.
showing him like, look, this is what we do, man. We don't keep our money in the bank. That's just that we only put money in the bank to pay bills, man. We don't keep our money, no savings account. The bank is not paying you enough, people. They don't even pay you the rate of inflation. So
Hmm.
your money in there, and you might have $20 in there, but like that $20 5 years from now, that's $20 is still $20. Yet the burger in McDonald's is 25. So
It's a
you
25.
your money going backwards, bro. Like your money sitting in the bank, but it's not even keeping up with the rate of inflation. I mean, I literally stopped at Arby's the other day and got a one person meal and paid $19.
That's
I
not
was like,
okay.
what? For a meal? $20 for a meal? That is crazy.
That
But
is
yeah,
not okay.
so again, my point here is your money has to be making money, people. If your
Yes.
money just sitting in the bank, it's not making any money. You're making money for the bank because they're loaning your money out to people like me, right? But you're not making any money. If you want to make money, you have to go to a higher interest bearing bank account, right? And that's what brokerages do. Like Fidelity, it's the same thing. I could get access to that money. You get a card and everything. It's still there, but that money is making 5%, right? Your bank account is making like 0.2%. So you're not making any money. So that's the art of becoming wealthy. Your money has to work for you, right? So I can wrap up the entrepreneurship thing with this. Think about it. I have a fleet of people that work for me. When I wake up, I'm making money. When I wake up, everybody's
Hmm.
going to work. All my businesses are charging. All my properties are leasing. People are paying their bills. So my money is making money. Everything I do is making money, right? I'm not just trying to figure out, I'm not doing a 9 to 5 thing, waiting for a paycheck. Everything that I do is in the ecosystem is making money for me and building my brand and my company. That's how you get wealthy. That's how you get wealthy. You're not gonna get wealthy in a 9 to 5. I mean, you have a small percentage of CEOs in the world. They're like maybe 5%, where of course they get ridiculous salaries. But again, they're like lottery tickets,
Yeah.
right? Average people, you're 9 to 5 in it, and they're seeing your paycheck crushing you, and you going to work and killing yourself. Nah, you got to figure it out. And even if you don't, I'm never an advocate for telling people that they need to leave their job. No, because entrepreneurship is tough. But I
Yeah.
am an advocate of telling people that they should have a side hustle.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Let's talk about your book real quick. We got a few minutes left. You want to give us a little bit of a skinny on that?
Yeah, hiding in plain view. It's the book that's going to transition to a script, which we're working on now, which is going to transition to a movie that's going to win an Oscar. You heard it here first.
All
So
right.
it's really about this a young man that faced some astronomical challenges, and was able to not only push through and achieve, but becomes a person that's making a staple and putting his mark on the world. I think it's an incredibly inspiring book. I believe that anybody that reads this book, you're not gonna even see it coming, but I promise you, it'll be your favorite book. So go get Hiding in Plain View by Marcel Clarke. All you have to do is Google it. It's everywhere. So it's on Amazon, it's on audiobooks. It's however you like to retain your information. But Hiding in Plain View is one of my favorite books right now. Of course, because I'm the author, but I think that you will love it.
There's that part. There's that part. Yeah, and what we'll do, the other thing we'll do is we'll put it on your show notes. So anybody goes to the show notes, they can get the book. Cool, man. Anything you want to drop on our audience before we call it a day?
Wake up every morning and give it 100%. Leave it all on the field.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Life is too short. Let's get after it.
Get after it. Cool. Awesome, man. Hey, thank you so much for being on the show. Really enjoyed our conversation. This was inspiring for me.
I appreciate it, Rick. Anytime. I always love supporting the fam, man. I support the community. I support the arts, man. So I hope your show is incredibly successful.
Hey, thank you. I really appreciate that. And folks, thank you so much for watching or listening to another episode of the Relentless Pursuit of Winning podcast. Keep winning.